Thanks a lot, Amit. So hello and welcome also from my side. Good afternoon to our European participants. Good morning to the Americas. Welcome on board. We wanted to share today, my colleague Javad and I, about what does it mean when we say product lifecycle management in the public cloud. What is new? What do you need to know regarding content, regarding use, regarding pricing? So we do have a fairly full session today, therefore let's get started right away. I wanted to highlight certain things to tie in the activities that we did last year with where we are sharing then information this year. In general, you can say our aim is that we as SAP provide an environment that allows you as our customers or partners who implement there with you to support all companies who produce something, whether it's a discrete material or device, whether it's a food, beverage, or other type of item from the process industry side, doesn't matter, but to have the necessary capabilities in the system so that you can produce your product in a convenient way and get it out to the market at the right time and at the right price point. We have shared a number of sessions with you last year already where we used the On24 platform. So all of these sessions that address more the functional point of view remain available. So you can always go back to these sessions and learn about specifications, recipes, about how to integrate cut data, how to do configuration or collaborate with suppliers in the system. So please leverage these sessions that we presented already. This year, we're shifting over to the Sub-Learning Hub. So you will see more of such sub-live sessions as we do today. Where we then focus a bit more also on the practical and technical aspects of it, not just what's the functional scope. You have a chance to then ask questions at the end of the session. So please, leverage this opportunity to engage with us directly and note down the times for the upcoming sessions. The first ones now in the first quarter are already open for registration. The other ones will come up over the course of the next week. So do check back in on the Learning Hub every once in a while. We will, of course, also make this known via the LinkedIn group. So either way, you should hear about these upcoming sessions. As I mentioned beforehand, we do have a full agenda today. So we'll talk a little bit about cloud and why is that. Then what's inside the solution per se, for those of you who didn't yet have a chance to join some of our other sessions, so that we're all more or less at the same starting point, give you a bit of an functional insight, talk about where we're headed, talk about what's the architecture, and how does this public cloud solution fit in with the rest of SAP's PLM offerings? Javad will then share some of the practical aspects, how to get started, what does it take, what does it mean, what do you see in the system? And then we'll finish with some pricing aspects and where you find additional information. And then hopefully have time to answer all of your questions that might come up now during the session or which you already brought along with you to begin with. So what does it mean when SAP says we're going to the cloud? Well, for PLM, where we consider ourselves as this system of choice to have product master data, whether we're using predominantly the specification for the process industry and the product structure and the infused cut data for the discrete side, doesn't matter. So this is the cornerstone of the PLM capability in the system. But we have augmented this now in numerous ways to have a more collaborative work environment, to share information in a digitized way, and therefore a cloud environment where getting access to the environment also for externals is possible, where putting things into a contextual framing in a collaboration setting is easier to do. This is why it makes a lot of sense to move to the cloud. And by the way, this is not just something that PLM is embarking on, but this is something that you see overarching in the whole IT industry, but specifically also in SAP, with S4HANA going to the cloud, several other solutions from manufacturing to all the sustainability solutions, etc. And now we from the PLM side, of course, as well. So those of you who have used maybe PLM capabilities already in an ECC or S4 environment, you are most likely familiar with having these capabilities now also available in a private cloud setting where the system is run and operated by SAP. There you have core capabilities like specification and recipe development, change management, all these CAD integrations. That is all functionalities that is available as part of S4HANA Cloud Private Edition. Notice the new name, it's now also called Integrated Product Development, but when we're talking about integrated product development without any S4 additions in the beginning, then we're talking about public cloud, where, very similar, we do have these core capabilities that I mentioned before, like the spec, like the recipe, like the CAD integration, also available on the public cloud, but augmented with further collaboration and especially visualization capabilities that can now be much easier consumed on the public cloud. You might know certain functionalities also under various names. Just for consistency reasons, I've put it down below with a lot of asterisks, what it was called in the past. So just notice these former names. Where do we see activities now being concentrated or activities being leveraged? Well, let's maybe start here on the right-hand side, where we say for customers who use S4HANA in the public cloud environment, they don't really have these core PLM capabilities. They have something what I always call production preparation, or they now, the formal term now is manufacturing foundation, where of course you have BOMs, you have a work center, you have change management. So that is available on the S4HANA side. But when we're then looking at designing things, at creating specifications, etc., they will use this integrated product development on the business technology platform right away. So there is no other capability inside the S4HANA public cloud environment. On the private cloud side, as I've mentioned on the earlier slide, that is a little bit different. Here, customers can choose whether they use it embedded in an S4 private cloud environment or whether they already use the new BTP public cloud capabilities. There is a certain timeline how long SAP commits to having these things in parallel. You already see down here. So for my process industry customers, that timeline goes till 2036. Then the specification on the private cloud side will go away, and by then customers are expected to move over to the BTP side of PLM. And for discrete industry customers, it will most likely tie in with the duration of S4 timelines. So we're talking 2040. Therefore, still a long time where you have that choice, whether you go private or public. But in order to use some of these new capabilities, especially the collaboration, this centerpiece here with IPD on BTP is the go-to place. It's not surprising that 80% of my current customers who start with the public cloud PLM capabilities use collaboration. So that is the go-to place for these kind of new collaborative and more visual work environments. For completeness sake, I've also listed here the license numbers in the new terminology. So you see here the one for the public cloud, it's a single license number. And I've also listed here the ones for the private cloud, since some customers buy this also in the course of their current RISE project or for other reasons. So we have everything at one glance. Then let's come to what is inside this integrated product development on the business technology platform. Well, it is the PLM environment that we use for a lot of individual capabilities. Innovation management, requirements management, certain discrete engineering as well as process industry specification and formulation capabilities are there inside. And what that means, I will quickly highlight in just one sliders to give you a bit of an impression what this IPD environment is made up of and what you can select to leverage and expect for the future going forward. Now, the innovation management, this is really an ideas management environment, very intuitive, very visual with, when a campaign shall be started, you can put graphics and images, etc. to it. You can invite both internal colleagues as well as externals to create ideas. These ideas will then ranked and evaluated and decided on what to go forward with. Now, when we're talking it or looking at it from a PLM perspective, it's of course with the focus of having new product ideas and improvement ideas, but customers can also use it for all kinds of process improvements on the development side, for product launch improvement processes, for improvements on the manufacturing line, or for improvements of their logistics processes. So this is not limited to just R&D or PLM work, but of course this is where it originates. Then the next capability in line is then usually the requirements management that we talk about. So this is maybe a bit more used on the discrete industry side, where you list your requirements catalog or your requirements model. You can then share this in a collaboration. For example, you can share it with one or multiple potential suppliers from where you then want to source a component, a semi-finished product, an ingredient, a packaging material, whatever, or companies who already produce a larger portion of your final product for you. Depending on what you're looking for, the extent or the size of that requirements model can, of course, vary. The more frequently used functionality is then the specification management on the process industry side, where we usually start directly with the spec instead of the requirements model. So a bit different between discrete and process. So specification management is the source of product data, of your master data backbone in the system that goes way beyond what you have on the material master. What I can only highly recommend is that when you start on a digital transformation journey with your S4 program, to not forget the specification, because the world is not made up of just the material master and just the business partner. For everything beyond what you need from a pricing and logistics purpose on the material, that goes to the specification. And then the spec is linked to the material. That's the logic that you need to be aware of. The specification management basically is the digitized version to capture your product master data. And the specification can then, of course, also be shared with external potential suppliers who can then update this information directly in the system in a digitized way. I'll come back to that when we then discuss the collaboration aspects, because there it plays a key role of facilitating that information exchange process between various companies, or between the companies or OEMs on the one side and the suppliers on the other side. We do have a lot of advantages here now with the spec in the public cloud side, because we finally have a full-fledged version and certain product dimensions of what's the so-called regional validity of certain data points, where we have specification comparison now available, but of course also kept the benefits of having a flexible property tree on the spec to accommodate different types of customers, different needs of capturing core data, or also the ways to capture different information for different departments, whether it's for food and beverage, for animal health, for medicines, for paint products, for other consumer products, goods, etc. The specification is now more and more used also at discrete industry customers, especially when we want to capture and collaborate with externals on sustainability relevant data points. This is then also the go-to point where these kind of information are being captured, or where suppliers can enter them and share with you. So always keep that in mind, no matter from what side of the business you're coming. Then, of course, we have the big recipe formulation topic, which was released last year, where we can define for all our consume area customers, food and beverage customers, some of the retailers with own products, some of the chemicals and paints and lubricants customers, how the formulation of their product looks like. So this is where we leverage the specifications as the number of, and as the information about the ingredients, where we specify then the quantity, how much of it needs to be brought together to create that recipe. And of course, we can have additional information then on the calculations, what is used to create semi-finished or the final good, and what are the ingredients that might cause allergies or that cannot be used. For example, if you have a kosher or halal product. So all these kind of relevant assessments before, for example, you can bring a food or beverage product out to the market. On the discrete industry side, the recipe is not a relevant go-to point. It is more that we do our systems engineering. And here we have a graphical way of capturing this information. What are the individual components that need to be brought together, both from a logical as well as from a functional perspective? What are the building blocks that make up a car, a truck, a device, how to specify that. In order to then streamline the whole development process, we have the integration of cut data. So that is key to infuse information directly from these authoring tools and manage them without any copy pasting, without any knowledge loss then in the SAP world. The infusion of such data usually leads to this information being related to an object called Enterprise Product Structure. So this is the view of what shall be built. That's the highest level structure to define what are the components underneath, and which serves as the starting point for all, EBOM, MBOM, etc. activities. We use the enterprise product structure then also as the going in information when we talk about handover to manufacturing. So here's an example when we hand over then the EBOM to an MBOM, what changes might be made, what materials are to be used and really on plant level. That might be different from plant to plant, or certain other adjustments that need to be made on the manufacturing side. Just FYI, while I'm showing here now a screen from the discrete industry side, from EBOM to MBOM, the handover functionality is of course also used for process industry customers, where we're then handing over the recipe on the R&D side to the BOM on the manufacturing side as of today. And on the roadmap, we also have the handover to the master recipe on the manufacturing side as something coming up end of this year, Q1 next year. There are a couple other capabilities that make up the full IPD functionality, like this test management or product verification and validation capability. So this is not the execution of detailed tests to check for more quality management related aspects. This is really to define based on starting points of a requirements model, or so what tests are needed. Are they all have they all been executed already? Are they all done? Have they all completed with a success? What needs to be redone and who needs to take care of this? So this addresses more the organizational aspects of the tests, the test execution and stability tests, for example, that still happens on the QM side of the business, the quality management side. And then we also have the configuration management in there. That is, of course, key for tracking all the changes, for having baselines captured at certain moments in time, and for being the necessary environment of choice when we are also in regulated industries that need to prove that certain aspects of the product have been assembled and designed in the correct way, and then you can go back in the timeline to see what has been done what. So think of configuration management as your initial baselining tool that captures information from the product structure down to the individual components, depending on the life cycle phase of your product, to have a dedicated overview of how the design and the product look like at any given point in time. It can capture information from both the IPD side on the public cloud, as well as, of course, from the S4HANA side, like BOM information. So users then can select what objects are relevant and need to be frozen there. It can be used to cross-check in a release process that all the parts and individual components have been pulled together properly. And as I said, for every customer in the regulated industries, it's a must-have to be compliant and later on support an audit process when an auditor comes in and wants to see what was done at what point in time. Then, in addition to these core functions, I wanted to point out two areas that are widely used at all of my current customers. Sorry, these two functions are collaboration and visualization that are used at most of the customers who currently implement integrated product development. Let's start with collaboration. So collaboration is a capability that resides on the BTP, the business technology part, so the public cloud part of the solution, and it can integrate and provide access to all these core objects that we've just discussed, like specifications, like the requirements models, like the recipes, but of course also CAD design files or other kinds of documents. The good part is that they can not only do so with objects that are located on BTP and inside IPD to begin with, but also from your S4HANA side. In fact, if we're completely honest, it can do so until ECC 6.0 Enhancement Pack 8 or higher. So even customers who run ECC systems can already benefit from a collaboration environment. And that's most likely why this functionality is in such high demand, simply because it's very flexible in their back-end integration. So specs or CAD designs or BOMs can also come from the ERP back-end, no matter what release it is. It has a full collaboration environment. And what do I mean with this? Not only can I assign all kinds of objects and put them into a collaboration so that I have a dedicated work environment, either for other teams inside the company who don't need to have the core nitty-gritty functionality of the PLM area itself, but just see, review, approve something that they are in charge of or need to review, but also invite externals, suppliers, contract manufacturers, design partners, regulatory artwork people, whatever, into this environment to share just these kind of information that are relevant for their daily work. It has a complete workflow set up, so you can define workflows based on the type of collaborations you run, where you have then the respective workflow templates, or you can leverage ad hoc workflow tasks so that you can also create a collaboration just at the spur of a moment or from scratch. Either way is possible. Users can capture additional comments. They can have the status information there, so they see what are the next steps, who needs to approve what, and of course then capture the approval results. And when the work is done, at the click of a button, you can bring the information back to the corresponding correlated object in the backend, whether that's your spec or the BOM, or whether that's just a document that you have shared in here. So this collaboration environment is really widely used. Of course, many customers use it in a product development context, but others can use it in a more document sharing aspect when they want to make documents available to their contract manufacturers, where they have not only thousands but millions of documents that they want to share. One of my customers even shares all shipment papers and border crossing documents via this way. So the use case is manifold. But for us, when we look at it from a PLM point of view, it's of course to share product development documents, CAD files, requirements, lists, specifications as the core capability. It is integrated with Ariba, so you can have a pre-selection of approved suppliers that you then allow into the collaboration environment, but you can, of course, also share it, just invite others just via their email access. Again, it depends on your setup on the customer side, what is allowed and for which type of collaboration you enable what kind of invitation logic. When it's used in combination with an Ariba procurement or sourcing process, then we can assign these collaborations to the RFP process, so that more detailed, dedicated information like the requirements model, like the specifications in digitized form are being shared. Or here in this case, the information about a cut design where everybody can then work on this in the cloud environment. You can twist and turn this functionality. You can do the redlining. You see then the redlining layers on top of it, and both sides can work on it collaboratively without having to cross system boundaries, different cut systems, different versions of the cut system. They can all work here directly in the public cloud together. So that's a huge advantage that our customers see, to have such a scalable platform for all their collaboration needs with the common repositories of their digitized data. They have a traceable communication where you know what has been shared with what supplier, where you can also trace what kind of work and feedback are they supposed to give. Have they done this already or not? So it's an efficient collaboration where you share digitized information. And when you have your suppliers asked to enter information in there, you have directly the validation of whether they provide the right content or not, which otherwise, if you share things only via PDF or Excel, you would only notice when you yourself then type it into the system. So this one here is, of course, more convenient and more efficient. The visualization capability, I just mentioned it in the context of working together on cut files, but this, of course, goes beyond just the collaborative aspect, and it can be used also in sharing then this visualization capability on the asset management side for the maintenance worker, sharing visualizations in a sales catalog for spare parts, etc. So there are many different ways where visualization plays a role. The core part to have this visualization capability available is, of course, that we get the cut information in, so the integration to the authoring systems. That requires a capability on the sub-IPD side, that docking on point, and then certain plugins on the authoring systems in the cut systems themselves, where IPD is then referenced and assured that the data from the cut file can then end up on the IPD side, and in the end be assigned to the product structure as well as used for viewing purposes, and after the handover then make its way to the BOM on the S4 side. How that can be done and seen, I've put a link to a demo example in there. For time reasons, I leave you with the link that you can have a look on afterwards. But you see then there exactly how that information is used via this PDI plugin and uploaded and shared then with sub-IPD. If you're interested in further information on that topic, we already had 2 On24 webinar sessions, so feel free to have a look at them. or learn about the manifold ways how visualization can be used in the SAP environment in other areas, from having point clouds to building information to using visualizations on spare parts, logic, etc. So a lot of different options are available, and of course for everything where we then model either a machine, a device, or also assets that shall be monitored on the shop floor or somewhere in the company, or externally when you have sold such assets like in utilities or oil and gas situations where this is a very frequent situation. So having the visualization capability in sub-IPD as a first step, and then using it also in other areas and departments, for example, for somebody who is responsible for certain assets to take care of. Since talking about visualization is always a little bit problematic when you don't see it graphically, let me just give you one quick example here. We'll be making this a bit bigger. So here it brings together the logical structure from the left-hand side, from the R&D side, to something that comes in from the asset management side, where you then can drill down, select the components that you're interested in, or get additional information from the asset itself, where you then really see the asset ID and know to what category, to what equipment class it belongs to, how long would it take to order something like this, to see what has a certain criticality level, etc. So it's the combination of knowing from the structure what we have, knowing from the equipment where it comes from and how it can be ordered, and visualizing it in a nice, convenient way. So just as a quick outlook to how that then looks like in real life. And similar to what we have seen here on the asset management side, you can then of course also leverage this visual capability to use it for work instructions, so that your service and maintenance colleagues also have it easier and don't have to read too much text, and in the end still don't know what that means, what is written in the text with what they are supposed to do on a larger machine. Now here you can use the visualization capabilities to really define step by step what a maintenance worker would have to do, and then provide it to them in their mobile work environment, showing them what to take apart first, where the screw needs to go, what part to replace and exchange with something else. So you have that simple, straightforward, very easy to do, so that they can do the work faster, they make less errors. And one customer also said to me, "Oh, Petra, this is great. Now I don't have to write a lot of text that I have to translate into 50 languages, so I can save that translation cost. I just give it to all of them in a visual form." So also that can be very helpful. And then last but not least, you can use the same visualization capabilities of taking things apart, being able to drill down into the structure and identifying really the needed component, also for the spare parts environment, where inside a spare parts catalog, you leverage visualization capabilities to make it easier for everybody of your respective customers or your maintenance crew to order the right replacement part, making sure that they don't order the incorrect one and have to, not only have they a delay in how long it takes them to fix the issue, but also having the cost of shipping things back. So avoid that with some visual capabilities. If you want to know more about visualization, how it can be used in these various use cases, of course, we also have an On24 webcast, so feel free to have a look in there. Now, I've talked about capabilities that are coming with SAP IPD, but we also use other capabilities that come from the business technology platform that we leverage in the context of integrated product development. One of them is, for example, workflow capabilities. The new term for workflow and beyond is called build process automation. So whenever you see BPA components, this is the workflow that we, for example, use in the collaboration environment. This is something quite powerful. Part of it is also, for example, this bots mechanism where you can automate repetitive tasks. So also for your own projects, you can freely go beyond the classical workflow and use BPA in even more ways. The licenses that you need to run BPA in the context of IPD, they come with the SAP IPD license. Everything that you then build as a customer specific addition on top or use completely outside of IBP, that is then the normal BTP BPA license. Another helpful component is what we then use for insights to track the statuses of these workflows, know what's going on, etc. So here we use the process visibility capability where you have a easy no-code / low-code design phase of what workflows to build and monitor, and you can then put these kind of overviews in a end-user dashboard where you then monitor the status of certain activities that have happened on the workflow side. So again, very simple way forward how to provide some insights and overview of where you stand in your system. Now, if you want to go even further and build even more elaborative dashboards and work environments, that also comes up. Just FYI, I shared additional links to the process visibility logic if you want that. And we had one of our colleagues give an overview how to leverage this inside of IPD. As I said, if you now want to go even further along creating such dashboards, there is something called sub-build work zone. Some of you, especially partners of ours on the PLM side, you might be familiar with work zone already, since we're also using work zone environment for sharing PLM-related content with partners. For all those of you who might be new to this area, this is a way to create web pages in an easy, convenient way to be able to consolidate both SAP content as well as external non-SAP content together to have a role-specific dashboard, a starting point for every user to work with the system in the morning. Here's just a very simple example from my own environment where when I come in, I see my workflow to-dos. So if somebody created a task for me in IPD, instead of having to go to the inbox first and checking what's waiting there for me, I can bring it up directly on my dashboard, as well as other information, as I said, also from outside SAP, or create my own pages for various areas. If you want to know more about this, my colleague Ankit, who now works for Grammont, has just last week done a nice overview of what they have done at the customer, how to go through this step by step and learn how to do these kind of dashboards. So feel free to watch this as well. Last but not least, on the architecture side, now bringing all these various capabilities together. So we have here in this blue box, the capabilities that I've now tried to highlight in the past 45 minutes as capabilities in integrated product development. So all of this runs on the business technology platform in a public cloud setting. And it integrates with the S4 backend, as I said, for some customers, even down to ECC 6.0 backend. We have a direct integration of CAD data that follows this line. So similar to those of you who know ECTR, the Engineering Control Center, where we also had that direct CAD integration to the S4 world, we have now enabled this also for the public cloud world. The integration between IPD on the BTP side and PLM capabilities, also other material master, etc. integration goes via direct API calls. But of course, we also have customers who put a middleware in between that. So both options are possible, whatever your preference is. You gain a lot of integrations out of the box with us, not only into the S4HANA world, but also into product sourcing and Ariba, into digital manufacturing. And something that we're working on right now is the integration into the product compliance and sustainability world. So these are things that then come with sub-IPD for you. When you want to implement this and put this live, please go to the help pages where you see for each of the capabilities what integration options are available. You see it here listed depending on whether you integrate then to S4HANA in its different deployment models or to ECC 6.0, the set enhancement pack 8 or higher is the minimum requirement. And especially for collaborations, the integration touchpoints are even way broader, to integrate to Ariba, to integrate to Engineering Control Center, to integrate to Microsoft Teams and everything in between. So for each of these integration aspects, you find the description of what you'll have to do when you implement this. There are lots of things on the roadmap. Goal is always to come and to support this end-to-end aspect from capturing the first ideas, putting the specifications, the formula or the device and packaging information together, all the way to handover and change management. And as I said beforehand, everything done in a collaborative setting. And now, of course, the big new topic for 2025 is all the AI work of where can we leverage AI capabilities to facilitate the product development functionality even further. You see here in blue certain things that address AI capabilities. Some of it we already delivered last year. Others are on the roadmap, as well as some other components like the CAD integration. You see here which CAD integrations have already been delivered, what is on the roadmap for this year. And then the big integration topics to product compliance and the topic of change management, that's also on the radar. So on the AI side, you see that we have delivered quite a number of things as beta release last year already, using Joule, this conversational AI, also in a PLM context to have the tagging capabilities so that you don't have to individually assign every cut line item then to the product structure. To have search supported with AI capabilities for the specs, etc. Plus, now, of course, the big formulation topic, how can we make the formulation even easier with AI support, which is on the topic and part of the customer engagements that we have for this year. Change management is something that we just delivered a few days ago on February 14th as the first starting point to define the change number. There are, of course, a lot more things to now come throughout the year to have a full-blown change management capability also supported here. And in addition to the change management, I said we need more CAD integrations to these CAD tools that we're not supporting yet. And we need so-called reference structures all the way to the services part to have then the SBOM and S-maintained structures also available. And on the process industry side, apart from the change management, we talked about the integration to compliance and sustainability. We delivered the handover to the BOM, and the handover to the master recipe is also on the roadmap. I had mentioned that duality between the functionality of core PLM objects on the S4HANA side versus on the BTP side. Here an example from the process industries regarding the specification and recipes. So you see that the objects exist in both worlds. Therefore, customers have a choice of what to use when. For some customers on the regulated industry side, they currently have to use the S4HANA spec and recipes because the public cloud components are not yet made available for GXP regulations. But this is something that is coming over time. So we give the guarantee that both areas are maintained by SAP until 2036, so customers have enough time to decide when to then use S4 PLM components, when to use IPD BTP components. For collaboration, especially this hybrid approach is relevant, where we can go down all the way to ECC 6.0. And with that long time duration, we grant everybody enough time to move and plan their migration from the on-prem into the public cloud world over time. Visions for the future, where we headed. It's the logic, the concept of a digital thread that everybody is working on, that we bring together a consistent navigation and a consistent logic from early days of R&D to manufacturing to the maintenance and service area. So this is something that we're working on. We are planning to leverage something that is called the lifecycle graph or knowledge graph. That is a means of structuring these connection points in an easy navigatable way, also very fast way that is supported by the SAP HANA database itself to provide then also the not only the intrinsic connection points inside the digital thread, but also the visualization of this to know where things come from, where they are going from the model on the R&D side to then in the end an instantiated object on the asset and equipment side. So this is what we're currently embarking on with some of our customers. If you want to know more about the details of what is coming up now in the next quarters, please refer to the Roadmap Explorer that showcases all these details. At the moment, we have monthly delivery cycles, so everything is being shared 2 weeks in advance via this What's New functionality. So go to that documentation area where you then see this information. You can also register yourself to be informed out of the automatically when the new What's New for the next release is posted, so that you never miss an information. So simply subscribe to this and you'll be put on a distribution list to get always the latest and greatest 2 weeks before it is being released. All right, and with this, let's now come to some of the practical aspects of how to get onboarded to SAP IPD in the public cloud. And with this, Javad, I would hand over to you, and you can share your screen. Thanks, it's visible. You're not audible yet, just FYI.
All right.
Yes,
Can
now it
you hear me
works.
now? All right,
Yes.
perfect. Okay, thank you very much, Petra. So now I'm going to be talking about what happens immediately after you get the subscription, you start the subscription for integrated product development, what we call the so-called onboarding process. What you're getting to look at here is a sneak peek of onboarding sessions, quarterly onboarding sessions that will be rolling out very soon. So you are one of the first few who are getting to look at this onboarding journey. So I hope you get value out of it. So before we start the presentation, my name is Javad, and I'm today acting as an onboarding advisor. In my day job, I am a product champion for SAP Digital Supply Chain Solutions in the customer success area. But today, I'm taking on the role of an onboarding advisor, and the job of an onboarding advisor is to make sure that since the contract signature until the first go live, they provide you with guidance and best practices and resources specific to your implementation journey, with the idea that we need to reduce the time to value to your project. All the resources that we're going to be mentioning in this webcast are available to you at no additional cost. They are included in your SAP Cloud subscription. The onboarding session is dedicated to new customers and partners primarily that are about to start their project implementation and would like to receive guidance and support to make sure they start on the right foot. This is not a detailed deep dive into your solution functionalities. Petra already has covered, gone into the details a little bit of the different capabilities of the solution. And of course, this is not a training course, but primarily an introduction for those who are new to the solution. So also be aware that as I said before, these resources are available without any gated access, and links for the different resources will also be included in the slide deck. With that said, let's get started. So first of all, we will start explaining what is your onboarding journey and the different phases. Then we will bring you some awareness on what SAP channels you need to know and how to understand users and the authorization concept. Third, you will understand how to access your systems and what notifications you should receive. Fourth, we will give you the key resources to be reached in case you have any issues. 5, we will introduce the main resources inside SAP that you need to be aware of right from the beginning of your project. And finally, we will see what are the next steps after this first getting started session. So let's understand the onboarding journey concept first of all. So why customer onboarding? So we learned from our experience and feedback from customers that the most important thing is that we know that the customers who are led through an experience that is consistent and structured and repeatable right up front after their subscription starts, that it leads to faster time to value. Means the solution that has been subscribed to, that solution that you have acquired, begins to deliver business results to you as soon as possible. So SAP customer onboarding aims to ensure that our customers never have this moment of doubt regarding the SAP solutions that they just subscribe to. They're never overwhelmed by too little or too much information as they start their journey. So the onboarding team then proactively engages with our customers, along with the account teams, especially your customer success partners, to accelerate the customer's time to value, and that we ensure that all cloud customers understand how to find assets, all the content, and the services that SAP provides to lead them to a successful go live. With the idea that you never walk alone, there's always somebody there to guide you. So the onboarding journey, the design is such that you familiarize yourself with the basics of SAP as soon as possible. The reason why embarking on a seamless onboarding journey with SAP is so important is that it simplifies your already complex intelligent transformation. You'll experience a consistent process from contract signing to implementation and beyond, and always know what the next step is. So by going through this journey, you'll gain a comprehensive understanding of SAP channels and resources, which will accelerate your time to go live and set the foundation for your continuous innovation. In other words, a successful onboarding experience will allow you to fully leverage the power of integrated product development to drive digital transformation and achieve your business goals. So what does this onboarding journey consist of? So first of all, the onboarding digital experience is formed by two main components that together form the foundation of SAP onboarding experience for all customers, independently from their segmentation or regardless of the sales channel or account value. So the first one is the automated welcome email, which is sent on the contract sign date with important information such as SAP for me and how to access your onboarding journey. Would like to remark here that you ensure you don't miss out on any helpful emails and resources from SAP. So to make sure the right email addresses with the right domains are added to your safe sender list, and they are marked as safe and not spam in your inbox settings. Number two, you have the Onboarding Resource Center. The Onboarding Resource Center is your one-stop shop for easy to consume, ungated enablement resources, ensuring that you have easy access to the basic resources needed for the entirety of your customer journey with the solution. This Onboarding Resource Center does not require any special access. It is available publicly. So double clicking on the Onboarding Resource Center, the SAP Integrated Product Development Onboarding Resource Center is publicly available. As said before, it is a one-stop shop designed to ensure that you have a smooth onboarding experience. You can find helpful resources here for the entirety of your project implementation, from getting started, then planning your implementation, enablement resources, and then finally, what do you need to get ready to go live. So the link that is included in this slide is going to directly take you to the Onboarding Resource Center for Integrated Product Development. Now, sure, you must be wondering, so this is the beginning of the experience, but what does the onboarding journey really consist of, and what are you going to get? So the onboarding journey consists of 4 phases or pillars. And for each of these pillars, we are planning to roll out a dedicated onboarding session. When these onboarding sessions go live en masse, hopefully each quarter, we'll be running a series of onboarding sessions, which will be open to all customers. In these sessions, you will get support from the contract signature all the way to your go live. And these sessions will give you a foundational understanding of what you need to know to keep making progress along your project. Now, we are aware how challenging it is to embark on an intelligent transformation or an SAP project. So we want to provide a starting point for you to build your knowledge in these different phases. Currently, this particular session that you're attending is the Getting Started with SAP session, the first one. And today we're going to focus on the things that you need to understand even before starting your solution implementation, basic concepts that you need to be familiar with to take the most of your relationship with SAP, and such as user creation and system access. The next pillar is the Plan Your Implementation pillar, where we will share details about our recommended project methodology and best practices to use during the implementation. And then we have the Get Enabled pillar, where you will learn more about your solution and will become aware of the main assets and enablement resources. And then finally, we have the Prepare Go Live pillar, where we will share a variety of resources and services available to you to monitor your project implementation. So if you look at the structure of this slide, you will also see that who should be attending and at what stage they should be attending one of these sessions. But we realize that you might be not at the right stage of the project when you're listening to one of these sessions, but you will always be able to listen to a recording or you can register for a future onboarding session when that will be offered, so that you always have the right information according to the phase of the project that you're in. So one of the main things that you need to know to get started is what are the main SAP channels and how to use them, plus what is a user and what different types of users we have. You will need to access these users you will need to access the system using these users. So let's get started. So we are aware at SAP that we need to simplify as much as possible our channels. That's why we are on a process to reduce or minimize the number of portals and platforms. So starting point, the three key channels that you need to know about are the SAP.com, SAP for Me, and SAP community channels. So SAP.com is the public access to SAP. There you can explore all areas of SAP. SAP for Me is your single point of entry as a customer with your specific data and self-services specific to you. And then finally, the SAP community channel, where you can connect with other peers and SAP experts and explore multiple blogs, innovative blogs that are released constantly by SAP experts, as well as ask questions that can be answered by other members of the community. Now, going a little bit of more detail on the SAP for Me channel, SAP for Me has been designed as your single point of entry for all your data that is specific to you. So there are multiple services there that you can utilize. You have access to all your product portfolio. You have the ability to check your orders, licenses, and respective consumption of your different subscriptions. You can create a case or ticket directly and get support from SAP. You can manage your systems and provisioning, etc. And then finally, you can also manage your users and check contract details and learn more by checking the available learning offerings directly from the portal. Also, on the right side, you have some additional links that have been included in case you want to know more about the SAP for Me portal. So to access these channels, you might be wondering what kind of users do you need? Yes, you need different types of users. So let's get into it. Number one is the S user, which is a unique identifier that allows you to log into your SAP product. Each S user has a level of access that allows this S user to perform the tasks that are needed according to their role. The level of access depends, of course, on the authorization assigned to the S user. Depending on the authorizations, you should be able to create incidents, request license keys, access portals, and many other activities. For new customers, the individual who purchased the SAP product, that is, the super administrator, will receive a welcome email containing their S user ID. So this super administrator user is a special user with all authorizations granted. It has the full authorization package and can create new S users, assign authorizations to the rest of the user, and each company has at least one super administrator. And it is initially provided by SAP to the contact your company assigned. And then we have the other user type, which is the SAP Universal ID. This is your personal account assigned to your physical person, where you can see all your existing S users. You can switch between your different S users as needed. In case you do not yet have an SAP Universal ID, you can create it on the website. Inside each one of these panels, you have additional information to explore. Under S user, you can find common questions and relevant link. Under authorizations, you have the link to the official documentation about the user, authorization and administrator concept. Under super administrator, you have the guidelines for user management for your admin. And under universal ID, you can see the common questions and relevant links as well. Last, with the new service partner user management app, you can easily enable your partner S user ID to interact with support on your behalf. So this way it stays GDPR compliant and data protection compliant. Your cloud administrator will be able to perform this task. You have all the information in the guide attached. Now that you understand how to get your S user, you need to make sure that you have your systems available so you can access them. Let's see what you need to do. First of all, let's understand the process to get your systems, which you will hear as the provisioning process very often. You signed your contract with SAP and nominated a technical administrator contact that is also called the IT contact. After the signature of the contract, this IT contact receives our welcome emails with information on how they can register to the customer onboarding webcasts and other information, including onboarding guides, administration guides, system access details, etc. Furthermore, the IT contacts is also going to receive provisioning emails, as we said, and those provisioning emails will be sent on the contract start date to get access to the system. Important to mention is that SAP will create only the super administrator user for the IT contact that was provided in the contract. And then the IT contact with the super administrator user will create all other users in the system and assign respective authorizations, as we just mentioned in the previous slides. So you might also be wondering how many notifications are you expected to receive. So in this slide, you can find the summary of email notifications that will be sent out from SAP to the customers. Also be aware that the activation emails sometimes may have expiration dates. You can check them on the email. After the expiration date, the credentials are deleted due to security reasons. If that happens, you will need to create an incident for that. So you can see the different types of email that will be sent out. Their first one being the welcome email, which will contain basic accessing onboarding information, including SAP for Me and the onboarding resource center. Then the second email is the BTP email. Now, depending on whether this is your first BTP account or you already had a BTP account to which you added your integrated product development subscription, you might or not get this email. And then finally, the systems and provisioning email, which will contain everything related to provisioning specific to integrated product development, including system URL, how to activate and the initial steps, application administrator guide, roadmap, what's new, etc. You can also see in this slide what those emails will look like. You can see the welcome email, which is the initial onboarding email. This is purely informational, and it will contain the link to the webcasts for onboarding sessions and other information. This email is sent out on the contract sign date. So important to note, this is sent out on the contract sign date, which may be different from the contract start date. Solution access email is the second email that you see on this slide, containing the access URL for the test tenant that goes out to the primary IT user or the IT contact. And then finally, the SAP BTP email, which you may or may not get, depending on whether you're using a new BTP global account or an existing one. It is sent on the contract start date if your solution was entitled to a new SAP BTP global account or order. Customers who decided, repeating once more, customer who decided in their contract to entitle their solution to an existing SAP BTP global account will not receive this email. So if you have any questions about whether your BTP order was a new order or an existing order, you can get in touch with your SAP account representative. Now we try to keep the look and feel of these emails the same so that you know that they are being sent by an authentic resource and you know where they are coming from. We've also included the steps that you need to perform in order to complete your subscription process to one of the integrated product development capabilities. So this is a step-by-step guide as well. A video is included with screenshots and step-by-step instructions on how you can first configure the entitlements, and then after configuring the entitlement, how you can configure the subscription. So you can follow this guide and complete your subscription very easily. Important to note also is that this guide still mentions EPD, which was a previous name for Enterprise Product Development. However, all the steps are still valid for the solution, which is now called Integrated Product Development, or IPD. Okay, so if you have a situation where you're not sure who your IT contact is, do not worry. In this slide, you can see how to solve it. And this is a very common problem. If you do not know who your IT contact is, you can either reach the Customer Interaction Center or you can create a ticket via SAP for me. And if you similarly, if you've not received any of the provisioning emails, you can also create a case or open a ticket in SAP for me. These are the instructions on how you can do it. You have to select the right component and make sure that you also describe what the issue is. So that I've included the component name here in the process flow, as well as if you're not receiving your provisioning emails, then you create the PLM EPD specific component. Now, as you know, system access is a critical topic at the beginning of your project, so we want to revise and highlight some of the key considerations. So number one, provisioning emails are triggered on the contract start date. Primary communication channel is email. SAP provisioning process takes the IT contact or your technical administrator or super administrator from the SAP contract order to be the initial administrator. IT contacts should not be the CIO, CEO, or procurement contact. These are the emails from which SAP emails are sent from. So please make a note of that. And make sure that your email software does not block these email addresses to avoid these emails from going into a spam or junk email folder. Now, our SAP softwares are implemented by us and also our partners, and we know choosing the right implementation partner is key for your business and the success of the project. So let's check where you can find more details about the relationship between SAP and how you can find the best partners to meet your unique needs. So there is a partner finder tool, which is available on the sap.com website. You can select a partner to support you throughout the implementation of your solution using this tool. To know how to best select a partner, it is important to know that you're aware of the competencies and specializations that determine the partner's expertise on the solution and the certification process for consultants. If you are an SAP partner attending these webcasts, you might be interested to hear that there are customer onboarding resources and solution onboarding one-pagers available on the SAP Partner Portal, as well as multiple trainings on the SAP Partner Edge portal. Now you know how to create users, you have the system and you have the implementation partner, but what if you face some issues with the system? How can you solve it? Let's check what are the most relevant SAP resources, tools, and platforms that you can use free of charge. And we believe it can be really useful to use these channels during your project implementation or even after go live for support and maintenance of your system. So starting with the scenario that if you're still facing issues accessing your system or you are experiencing an issue with the functionality of your solution, or you are unable to find a resolution using the SAP support knowledge search, you can create a case via the Get Support card directly from the SAP For Me platform. To create a case, you just need to access SAP For Me, go to Services and Support section, and select the Get Support option. Before you open a case, just make sure you have explored all information from SAP knowledge base articles and SAP notes that you can search on the support landing page. If the incident creation is really needed for your situation, make sure you have everything you need to address the issue. It means that you collect all the background information in detail so that the engineer that is assigned can focus on addressing the issue rather than going back and forth asking for additional information. To know more about how to create the perfect case incident, you can check the recommendation from the SAP knowledge base article that is included in this slide. Always pay special attention to the component and the priority criteria that you use. If you're still facing issues with SAP users and authorizations, the main way to quickly connect with SAP support for non-technical issues is via our Customer Interaction Center. So the Customer Interaction Center is available 24 hours a day, all the days of the year, and provides a central point of contact for assistance with non-technical queries, including any issues with S users, recovery of passwords, escalations, existing cases, or remote service requests. You can access the Customer Interaction Center or CIC from SAP For Me, or you can have a direct access via chat, via call, via email. Details are included in this slide. Since we want to make sure that you understand the importance of creating a case with the correct business impact, we created this slide to explain you that when you create a case to SAP support via the Get Support application, the prioritization of the cases will be done based on the entered business impact. You will find a field called Business Impact right after the component field, and these are the 4 options available to select from the drop-down list. Number 1, minimally affected, little or no effect on business process. Number 2, moderately affected, business operations are affected due to dysfunctional process. Number 3, seriously affected, business operations are seriously threatened as urgent tasks cannot be executed. And number 4, and the highest criticality, is critically affected, meaning productive service system core business process is down, or production system go live is in danger, or a severe security issue. Then the business impact that you entered will directly determine the priority of your case, ensuring a more accurate and responsive support experience. If the priority of your case is very high, or medium, then you will also have to enter a business impact statement on the free text box available. So please assign the correct business impact for your case to make sure that our support teams can work on the right cases at the right time. Eventually, this will lead to an efficient support teams allocation and faster responses for our customers. Now, at the very end, I would like to talk about some more resources that are available to you and important before you start exploring in the beginning of your project implementation. So one is the SAP Trust Center, which is a self-service, publicly accessible on SAP website tool committed to transparency and reliable information on how SAP runs the cloud and on-premise systems. It addresses all the key trust areas such as security, privacy, compliance, agreements, and cloud operations. You will also find performance and availability information of SAP Cloud Services there. And then secondly, there is, of course, the SAP Help Portal, which contains all the details and capabilities of the solution. It has configuration guides available, documentation about release upgrades, as well as integration. So you can get into the solution help portal and start exploring everything about integrated product development. And you also have the SAP YouTube channel. You can find useful videos about functionalities and processes there. And finally, you have the SAP community page that I already mentioned, where you can find several blogs. You can ask questions from other consultants and SAP experts, and you can go to the integrated product development or PLM community pages and start exploring there. All right, and I guess with that, Petra, I will hand it back to you.
Thanks a lot, Javad. So it was quite a lot of what was being shared, how you can find additional information, etc. So I hope you find all of this helpful. I know it can be quite a bit at first glance, but it was meant as a summary that you can go back to a single slide deck, a single overview to find everything put together. And with this, let me now finish it up with some pricing information. Good thing is all capabilities in SAP integrated product development come with a single material number, so you only need to worry about this. It's a subscription-based metric, and we use something that is called capacity unit. That sounds strange at first glance, but if you look at the details, you will find that most of the capabilities are user-based metrics. User in our case means a user who touches the system within a 30-day time window. So it's not named users like in the on-prem world, but users who use that functionality. And then you see the price point or the weighing how much a user would have to pay for using the one or the other capability. The only one that is a bit out of that user logic is the document storage, where you buy blocks of 100 gigabytes, and all of this is measured in the system. Sometimes the questions are in regards to what is included in product data management. So we try to summarize that up. Basically, product data management stands for all these core capabilities like the specification or the product structure, where you lay out the basis for all future PLM work. The viewing user is the PDM standard. Everybody who updates, changes, creates things, they need a professional user. That's more or less the magic of how SAP IPD is priced. IPD is also included in some RISE offerings. So you also see here the SKU for this. And of course, it can also be used for Grow customers with S4HANA public cloud side. Partners get a specific test and development license that you can also go forward with this. And as I said, the logic is always users that are active within a 30-day window. Capacity units are the conversion of either the usage logic or that storage block logic into something that is measured in the systems. You decide your own whether you use a 2D, 2 or 3-tier landscape. Test tenants come for free, so you can create the number of tenants as you need and as you wish. Collaboration as well as specification or product structure come with product data management. So that's the one part that you will definitely need. And viewing users use the standard PDM standard, while update and create users need the PDM professional license. These other entitlements that we've discussed half an hour ago of what is included in there, like this workflow BPA component or the build work zone, they are bundled into your normal IPD license here to that limit of what is listed here in this SAP node. Everything that goes beyond, or if you use it for other purposes, then you pay the normal BTP license for these components. So pretty simple and straightforward. Everything else that you might need in the area of IPD, you see blog information on the community. You see frequently asked questions for certain topics. You have here that FAQ note with further details. You have 2-3 minute videos to give a first glance of each of these functional areas, very quick and easy to consume. And I can only recommend that you join our LinkedIn group where we share product updates, but also event updates, etc. So you're always in sync with what's going on. For everything else, here are the final links to the Roadmap Explorer, to the config guide, to the trial version, or also to the influence program where you as customer or partner can put in additional requirements and product requests. With this, we're finishing our session for today from what we wanted to present. I haven't seen a lot of questions yet in the chat or specific Q&A area, but let's have another look. Maybe something has popped up in the last minutes while I was talking. So if there are no questions now during the session, then feel free to reach out to Javad or myself afterwards if something should come up, or when you're in an implementation mode, then you know where to find us and request for help. With that, I say thanks a lot for having joined us today. Thanks to our host Ramit and my co-speaker Javad, and for everybody from your side to have an interest in sub-integrated product development, how that is operated and run in the public cloud. Thanks for joining us today. Hope we'll see you back at some of our other detailed sessions around the new functionalities. Thanks and have a nice day.